I, 26M, was engaged to Chrissy, 29F, my partner of 6 years. Our families were close, and her family liked me a lot. In early December, Chrissy found out she was pregnant and told my mom before me. I was upset because I felt I should have been the first to know, but she claimed she couldn't hold it in. My mom, being a chronic blabbermouth, started spreading the news. This led to my family pressuring me to propose, so I did. I bought a refurbished diamond ring for about $1,000 and proposed during dinner. Chrissy said yes, and I started planning the wedding, though it was tough financially and on short notice. Chrissy refused a courthouse or Vegas wedding, so I searched for affordable venues. Before I could finalize anything, things took a turn. Chrissy grew distant and irritable. She was always on her phone and became defensive if I asked about it, blaming hormones or baby shower planning. My mom hosted her shower, and Chrissy received plenty of gifts, including a pricey stroller from my mom. But her behavior worsened. She seemed bitter and forced smiles around me. Confused, I confided in my best friend. He pointed out red flags I'd ignored and suggested I check her phone for cheating. One night, I quietly unlocked her phone while she slept. What I found shattered me. Chrissy had been cheating with her coworker, a former high school boyfriend. Their explicit text messages were saved under the name Karen, and their affair had been ongoing for over a year. She admitted in the messages that the baby wasn't mine and even detailed a timeline proving it was conceived while I was on a work trip. The texts included disgusting plans to manipulate me into signing the birth certificate and later divorcing me for alimony. When Chrissy realized her phone was missing, she confronted me, panicked. She tried to dismiss it as an emotional affair, but I had read too much to believe her. I told her to leave immediately. She packed a few things without protest, and her expression made it clear she no longer felt the need to pretend. After she left, I was devastated, physically sick and emotionally wrecked. I didn't tell anyone at first, which gave her time to spread her version of the story. But I'm thankful I didn't marry her. It's been a painful but eye-opening experience. One morning, I woke up to my mom calling and yelling at me. Chrissy had told her that I cheated, flipping the truth completely. I tried to explain, but my mom wouldn't listen. She told me I was guilty until proven innocent, then blocked my number. My own mother. When I tried their house phone, no one answered. That evening, I went to their house to set the record straight, but Chrissy was already there. She was on the couch with my mom comforting her, and she burst into fake sobbing the moment she saw me. Before I could say a word, my dad came out of nowhere, sucker punched me, and shoved me out, saying he'd raised me better. My grandparents later called to tell me not to come for Christmas. Everyone believed Chrissy's lies. They even spent Christmas Eve with her while I spent Christmas alone, eating reheated supermarket chicken and crying. Afterward, I found out I was also barred from New Year's celebrations. I tried contacting family, but they all sided with Chrissy, who had always been their favorite. Only my closest friends believed me after seeing the screenshots I'd taken from Chrissy's phone. At work, HR called me in because of anonymous complaints. I explained everything, showed them the evidence, and got a written record of the meeting for my growing case file. When I posted the screenshots on social media, Chrissy claimed they were fake. Left with no other option, I went to a lawyer. I had a legal letter sent to Chrissy demanding a DNA test and threatening a defamation lawsuit. She called me immediately, furious, but I recorded the call and told her we'd either talk this way or through lawyers. Under pressure, she finally admitted the baby wasn't mine. She confessed she'd lied to protect her own image. Leaving me without a reason would have made her look bad, so she flipped the story, knowing everyone would believe her. When I asked why she cheated, she admitted she'd fallen out of love long ago and only started dating me on the rebound after a bad breakup, something she'd never told me. She saw me as a safety net while she sought excitement and thrills elsewhere. I was nothing more than a placeholder until her plans fell apart. I told Chrissy I had enough evidence to sue her for defamation and conspiracy to commit paternity fraud. I gave her a choice: confess the truth to everyone or face the consequences in court. She knew I wasn't bluffing. In a panic, she scrubbed her social media and replaced everything with a dramatic, "I was wrong" sob story where she still tried to paint herself as the victim. Then, unbelievably, she went to my parents to confess the truth and beg them to convince me to take her back. I guess she wasn't ready to give up her safety net just yet. My parents were horrified by her confession and immediately threw her out, telling her never to come back. They then called me, pleading for me to come over so they could apologize. When I arrived, they expressed how sorry they were, saying they couldn't believe they had sided with a cheater. I responded bluntly, pointing out that my father punched me without even hearing my side, and my mother had told me I was guilty until proven innocent before blocking my number. My father turned to my mother, shocked, and asked if she'd really said that. She looked visibly uncomfortable. You see, my mother had gone through a rough midlife crisis years ago, during which she became close with a group of manipulative, hardcore feminists. They tried to drive a wedge between her and our family, treating my father and me like we were beneath them. Their influence nearly destroyed my parents' marriage. My father eventually threatened divorce, leading to a family intervention. My mother agreed to cut ties with them and go to marriage counseling, which saved their relationship, or so we thought. It turns out she hadn't fully cut ties. She admitted to keeping in touch just a little, though it was likely more than that. My father, furious, demanded to see her messages, which she reluctantly showed him. While he described them as mostly normal conversations, he wouldn't elaborate. Beyond this, my mother tearfully admitted she'd sided with Chrissy so quickly because she was desperate for grandchildren. As her oldest child, she'd pinned her hopes on me, and Chrissy's pregnancy made her overlook everything else. My grandparents also came over to apologize, ashamed that they believed Chrissy without hearing my side. The entire family was now pointing fingers over how they treated me, banning me from Christmas and New Year's, doting on Chrissy during Christmas Eve, and celebrating a first grandchild that wasn't even mine. My father, in misplaced anger, had even returned all the gifts they'd bought for me and donated the ones I'd left under their tree before the truth came out. Now they're scrambling to retrieve the gifts, but the charity isn't making it easy. My father is also facing backlash for punching me, but no matter what they do, the damage is done. I'll always remember how my own family chose someone else's lies over me, cutting off their son during the holidays without even giving me a chance to explain. I haven't forgiven them, and I'm not sure I ever will. The family group chat suggested hosting a second Christmas celebration, but it feels like too little, too late. It's already January, and many relatives traveled from out of state for Christmas 2024, an event I missed entirely because they banned me. Meanwhile, Chrissy played the role of the pregnant angel they doted on, while I spent Christmas crying and eating microwave chicken. A belated Christmas party just for me would feel like a pity gesture, and I can't imagine feeling comfortable at it. When I told my grandmother how I'd spent Christmas and New Year's, alone and miserable, she broke down in tears. But a party isn't going to erase what they did. I told everyone I need space to process things. Christmas used to be one of my favorite holidays. Our family focused mostly on giving gifts to parents and kids, with a secret Santa exchange for everyone else. Last year, I drew my uncle's name and bought him a new smartwatch because his old one was falling apart. After everything that happened, I ended up mailing it to him a couple of weeks after Christmas. I couldn't bring myself to return it like my parents had done with my gifts. To this day, I don't even know who drew my name in the secret Santa. No one's told me, and, without trying to sound selfish, I haven't received a single Christmas gift from anyone. My uncle, though, called me in near tears when he received his gift, apologizing profusely for not standing up for me when Chrissy lied. As for Chrissy, she and her affair partner, AP, lost everything. They shut down their social media accounts and quit their jobs to avoid being outed and fired. After staying with Chrissy's parents for a while, they moved away last week. My mother demanded the expensive stroller she'd gifted Chrissy at the baby shower be returned, but Chrissy refused, along with all the other gifts she received. My mother, who hadn't even told my father how much she'd spent on the stroller, was furious. Chrissy also refused to return the engagement ring I bought her. Last I heard, she's still wearing it, probably planning to use it for her engagement to AP. Chrissy's parents told me they're officially engaged now. Honestly, I consider the cost of the ring a small price to pay to have avoided marrying her. While I wanted justice, there's no point in contacting the HR department at her former job. It wouldn't accomplish much now, and I don't want to provoke Chrissy into retaliation. For now, her friends have all cut her off, and her parents reached out to apologize. They're horrified by her actions but won't cut her off. She's their only daughter, and they want a relationship with their grandchild. I imagine Chrissy will use that as emotional leverage. AP's parents also reached out to me, furious with their son. They told him he'd be disowned unless he marries Chrissy and that he's no longer welcome in their house. He had been living rent-free with them while saving for a house, so it looks like he and Chrissy have enough to start over somewhere else. As for me, I've received countless apologies from everyone who believed Chrissy. My friends keep reminding me there are plenty of fish in the sea, but right now, I'm not ready to date again. Chrissy turned out to be a shark pretending to be a tuna, and I'm still reeling. I always hope to be in a committed relationship by the time I hit 30, but I don't want to force myself to date just to meet a deadline.